Hi everyone, and welcome to the Essential Flute. Warm-ups, playing tips, and college audition toolkit. In this video, I'm going to talk about warming up and focused practice and give you some pointers on how to prepare for and what to expect of a college music audition. Let's get started. So what really is the purpose of a warm-up? Is it just to warm up your fingers? To warm up the instrument? For me, it's a lot more than just that. It goes a lot deeper than just warming up my flute, but rather it's a way of life, a way of flute life, that is. Here is where I focus on developing good habits in all aspects of my playing. I am setting the stage not only for the day's practice session, but making connections that will influence my overall playing and music making. Fundamentals such as tone, articulation, flexibility, technique, they're all essential to playing music, and they should be approached in a musical way, not as though they're an exercise and something we have to do. Warm-ups are a time to find a place where we feel good playing, where we feel at ease playing, and they should be approached musically. We shouldn't feel stressed out playing our scales as fast as we can, or playing some warm-up because someone told us to, but rather focusing on our bodies, what it is we want to do musically, and becoming one with our instrument. So we're going to talk about a few aspects of flute playing. Tone, we'll start with, and I'll tell you how I go about doing this.
Hi, my name is Lucy Rubin, and I'm a second-year undergraduate flute performance major from Chicago, Illinois. And something that I've found extremely beneficial as a music student is to have a daily and consistent warm-up routine. For me, no matter how much time I spend on repertoire or other projects I'm working on, I'm always far more productive after I've spent time working on my fundamentals of playing, such as tone, articulation, fingerings, airflow, and other elements that you'll always see in every piece of music you're ever going to play. For me, these more constructive and rewarding practice sessions allow me to focus on other musical elements that will change per piece, such as style and tone color, whereas the fundamentals that you play through every day will be applicable to every single piece of music ever. So warming up each day really goes a long way, not only for the music you're working on, but it will allow you to be a more successful and dynamic flute player, as you'll have a great understanding of the basics of the flute.
I like to start with tone because it is something that connects me to music. We flute players are obsessed with our tone and having a beautiful tone, and rightfully so. All instrumentalists should be obsessed with having a beautiful tone. But tone is something that we associate with musicality and playing musically, so it's something that I like to start with, warming up my tone, focusing on myself while making a beautiful tone. One thing that's important is to hear the tone you want to play before you play it. That is, what do you want to sound like? And maybe you don't have a full concept of what that is. What is my tone? Maybe it's your teacher's tone, or somebody in your band's tone, or somebody on YouTube that you've heard whose tone you like. Well, that's perfectly fine to imitate the qualities of someone else's tone. I did that as well, listening to flute players that I loved and imitating the qualities, the good qualities that I liked in their tone. And then eventually you'll develop your own voice. So I like to take the simplest thing possible, and that is a chromatic scale, moving slowly, in the style of our flute founding father, Marcel Moïse, in his book De la Sonorité, or Of Flute Sonority. Exercise number 1 is a chromatic, descending chromatic scale, starting on the B above the staff and going down to the lowest note on the instrument, which is either a low C or a B, depending on whether you have a B foot or not. And then I like to go all the way up to a high D, but I'll suggest for now we go up to a high C, whatever fingering, whatever your highest note is in your range, but high C is a good place to go to. Very slowly, just warming up our air, getting the air flowing. Music is energy, and so I like to think of my air, once I start the musical phrase, that the energy is non-stop. Inhale, exhale. ongoing energy. Not only when I'm blowing into the flute am I expending energy, but also when I'm taking in air. And so that is a way to free up my air and start to get me to think musically. So we'll begin in the style of Marcel Moïse's De la Sonorité, exercise number 1. And I go all the way down to the bottom. And it's here where I'm starting to think about working out finger tensions. Yes, finger tensions while we're playing slowly. But that is true because whatever we do with our fingers when we're playing slowly, we're going to do with our fingers when we play quickly. So playing slowly, we don't have to worry so much about our fingers. So this is the time to really focus on relaxing them, having them in the proper hand position, and balancing our flute properly. For a more in-depth discussion on balance and posture, you may want to check out my other video, Flute 101, Fundamentals to Flute Playing. And I go into a more in-depth discussion of that. So we want to think about never playing with an empty tone. Don't just blow into the tube and move your fingers. You want to make that connection with your body. You want to make that connection with your voice, almost like a singer. We want to make the flute an extension of our voice. We want to always think of singing quality when we play and resonating, using our body to resonate. And that's why it's so important to have proper posture with your spine aligned, your shoulders relaxed down, and the front part of your body open. That'll ease breathing, but it also will help you to resonate. Resonating is a wonderful thing because when we get in a resonant room, we love the way it sounds. We hate dry rooms. We like resonant rooms that help our tone ring and sound beautiful. Well, I've got a little surprise for you. Your body is your concert hall. Your body is your resonating chamber. That is, all of the parts of your body that we can't see, beyond the embouchure, this way, that's what makes your concert hall. If that is open and resonant, you're going to have a beautiful sound. If that is closed and tight, it's going to be nice and open. So, moving on to going up towards the upper register, the same approach. We don't get tight and squeezing just because we're going in the upper register. That is a problem that we have as flutists. We get scared of that upper register. We end up rolling the flute in, which doesn't help at all. And then we're trying to blow harder to make things happen. We're pinching at the lips, trying to get the notes out. That is not what we need to do. We need to think steady airstream, lots of air support, forward air, open, and accelerating the air to get to the next note. Et cetera, all the way up to the top. I bet you never would have guessed that was a high C. That was a high C, but it didn't really sound like a high C. That usual high C that's all closed off and not open and supported. We want all of our notes to sound brilliant, vibrant, and we want to have an even tone quality. And what that means is we would like to have all the registers, high C, sound even, almost like a keyboard. No matter where a pianist plays, the tone sounds even and beautiful. And on the flute, because of the characteristics of the instrument, when we go up high, the tone gets sharp and metallic sounding. When we go down low, the tone gets flat and kind of fuzzy, unfocused sounding, kind of woolly. And we have to overcome the instrument's tendencies by focusing on an even tone and using a steady airstream, relaxed embouchure, good posture, and a singing quality to our tone. So that's how I get started with tone. Just slow, easy, focusing on my intonation, focusing on my ease of playing, singing, how I want to feel all the time when I play, because that's about as easy as it's going to get, moving in half steps at a slow tempo. Those are the easiest intervals there are. So that's my tip on how to start your day with tone. We'll move on to scales now. So after tone, I like to move on to expressive scales and expressive scales and arpeggios. Not playing fast and tonguing fast, but just lyrical, beautiful playing. So I'm going to take a GMEA all-state scale and I'm going to play the entire thing slurred, just to get this connected, beautiful legato and expressive playing. Scales like that, looking for a beautiful, rich, even tone, and expressive, open, not fast and hurried, thoughtful, breathing whenever you want for now. And the next thing we can move on to is thinking about a different dynamics and different colors that we'd like to bring out. So I'm going to play a little pyramid of soft, mezzo forte, and then fortissimo, but lyrical. Mezzo forte. So you see how we can mix it up to make practice fun, but in this moment, staying expressive and being relaxed and at ease. And then we'll move on to the fast and fun stuff. Okay, let's move on to articulation. So another area of flute playing where air is so important is when we're tonguing. A lot of times when we think about tonguing or articulation, we are obsessed with the tongue itself. And while it's good to have an efficient tongue, without a strong, steady airstream, all the double tonguing in the world and all the fast tonguing in the world won't mean anything. Hear the difference? And a great airflow, that is the difference. So, a couple of pointers about tonguing. Remember that your tongue is like when you say tu. My tongue is touching on the ridge behind my upper front teeth. When I pull it down, tu, that's what makes the articulation. That's what makes the note speak. There are different kinds of tonguings, but this is the basic one. We have different tongue placement and different consonants that we use. I like to start with thinking of tu, a T, or possibly a do, but a very clear do. And then it is also important to think of the vowel that follows the tongue. Ooh or ah. I think ooh mostly. Tu. That'll make the cavity, mouth cavity open. Tu, and the sound nice and resonant. So tu, because a lot of times we think about the tongue and we forget to blow and we get something like this. There's really no vowel, ah, ooh, behind that. It's just no air behind it. So also, you want to be careful as you start to learn faster tonguing and double tonguing that we try to keep the tongue efficient by keeping it light. And you don't want to have the ku or the tu too far back in your mouth, or the tongue flapping very heavily. That's going to make a sound that's makes the sound harsh, and also, well, your tongue will tire out quickly. So we want to think of a light tongue, and everything kind of in a small range of motion, not hard. This is something you can practice without your flute. And once again, put your hand in front. You should feel a constant airstream. And that will translate into a beautiful sound. Now that you have heard my approach to tonguing, let's put it to practice in some GMEA scales. And we'll start with a nice single tongue, looking for a beautiful tone, clean, clear articulation, and a consistent and uniform articulation. Here's a fun little exercise, a little pyramid for changing the speed of the tongue. Of course, the last one was double tonguing, but it's a lot of fun to change the speed and the lightness of tonguing. So remember, we're looking for clean articulation, beautiful tone, clarity in the articulation, and a consistent, even articulation. One other aspect that is going to be very important to fundamental flute playing is flexibility. Flexibility in all registers and being able to move from one register to the next. So from the low register to the middle register to the upper register. So there are several exercises for this, but one that I'm going to do is an expanding exercise on an octave. So I play an octave. And now all of the intervals expanding chromatically in between. Continuing all the way up to the top. And then doing that an octave higher. I'll do it a little faster now just to save time. Continuing. So what we're looking there is for intonation, listening for an evenness of color and vibrancy in every tone, connection of the notes, so therefore we also have to have a steady airstream and smooth fingers and a seamless tone. And you can vary this up on many different exercises, but this expanding exercise is something we can take with us anywhere we go, and we don't need any music to do it, a book or anything. Here is a list of exercise books that I recommend with more exercises covering the aspects that we just talked about.
Hi, I'm Dylan Abbott. I'm a freshman flute major in the UGA Flute Studio, and I've realized that practicing fundamentals such as tone exercises, articulation exercises, and technique exercises like scales and thirds and multiple key signatures has made practicing etudes and other forms of pieces a lot easier.
If any of you are thinking about possibly majoring or minoring in music in college, that means you'll need to take an audition. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how to prepare for that and what to expect. But the first thing I want to say is what I am looking for in a music student. What are the qualities that a good music student has? Well, 1, strong basic fundamentals to flute playing. So a good tone quality and good tonal control. A good sense of intonation. A relatively solid technical facility. Clarity of articulation. And a solid breathing technique. Other things that are important are musicality. So while playing correct notes is important, you also need to be able to demonstrate phrasing, dynamics, a sense of rhythm, and pulse. You want to aim to put your personal stamp of interpretation into what you're playing and enjoy what you're doing. I'm looking for students that are curious and eager to learn. For someone who shows potential and is emotionally involved, not just playing a note-perfect audition. That's important. You want to catch your audience's attention. Another thing is, don't wait a year before your audition to start thinking about this. You will need to prepare much in advance. An audition isn't something you can just put together in a couple of months. So I'm going to give you a suggested list of repertoire that you should be familiarizing yourself to during the last couple of years in high school. Listen to recordings of these works performed by different flutists for a varied style of playing. Following that will be a PDF of what to expect of a college audition and how to prepare for it. If you haven't done so yet, I suggest you watch my video, Flute 101, Fundamentals to Getting Off to a Great Start in Flute. In this video, I discuss in detail aspects of flute playing, flute basics, assembling the flute, tone production, embouchure, posture, tonguing, breathing. And even if you've been playing flute for a couple of years now, it's always a good idea to revisit these subjects, and you might learn something new. I hope this video has been helpful to you, and I wish you all the best on your musical journey. Don't forget to check out the video of my students playing a surprise concert of some traditional and non-traditional flute music. Hope you enjoy it. Bye.